Wow, I didn't think I was gonna cry. Literally the first episode back, I'm bawling. I can't wait. I became like that crazy, what do you call them? Like the Facebook warriors. I messaged people on Facebook. I emailed, Instagrammed, everything. You're not experiencing everything that I've given you. You're living for everybody else. Hello, my Higher Battle family. Oh my gosh, it feels so weird saying that again, but I missed you so much. We are back, and we are better than ever. You know how God has to take you through things in order to be able to teach on them and guide people through them? That's where we've been. There's been a lot of life that has happened since the last time I saw you. What has it even been? Like almost a year break? Throwback to when I said, all right, a little break, I'll see you guys soon. And it was like 6 months to a year. Yeah, I hope you guys forgive me. And I'm so thrilled to be back next to the mic. I have so much to tell you. I thought we would kick off season 3 with a life update. If you guys have been following me on social media, then you probably know what's been going on. But still, there's a lot to say. There's a lot to tell you guys about. And I am just so excited. I'm literally like smiling so hard just being able to talk on here again. And I'm just so excited to bring you guys along on this journey that's been going on behind the scenes. If you guys have just happened to stumble upon this podcast and it's your very first time, first of all, perfect timing. We're back after a much needed and maybe way too long break. We are back, so we're happy to have you. Here we talk about life, Jesus, living life for Jesus, living life together. We talk about everything, the highs and the lows of living a life for the Lord. So welcome to the Higher Battle family. Alrighty, you guys, I don't even know if I was engaged the last time I recorded an episode. I took a break and then so many things happened. Let's just take a quick, jump in the time machine, hop back, and I'm engaged now. What? Back when I would make the podcast about how to be happy in your singleness, all the things, I was in a great dating relationship with Wyatt, and now we're engaged. What in the world? What is life, you guys? So we got engaged in July of 2022 and our wedding is coming up here in 6 months. Time is flying by. I can't even believe it. We had a little bit of a longer engagement just so that we could plan things out and get things figured out. And honestly, it's been fine. I haven't freaked out yet. So I think it'll feel more real when it's 1 month out. Or when it's the month of our wedding, and then I'm probably going to show back up and be like, I'm crying, I don't know what to do. But yes, very excited about that. This relationship and walking through my singleness, as you guys know, has been a huge part of my testimony, and I love talking about it, and I love helping you guys who are single right now and who are walking through that season of life, equipping you guys and helping you guys be joyful in that season. It's one of the hardest seasons I've had to walk through, but also one of the most beautiful. So that's something you'll hear me talk about a lot on this podcast and just on social media. But yes, I'm an engaged woman now. I'm going to be a bride. I have to change my last name. What? 13-year-old Payton is crying. We can't even believe it. So yes, that happened. And then we have a home. So, oh my gosh, the story behind the house that we have is just unreal. I always just pictured being engaged at least before we found a home, and it was just all perfect timing. So we were looking everywhere for a house, and you guys know it's expensive to buy a home. I'm sure you've heard if you are in the market for a home, it's always changing, the prices are going up, all the things. So we literally met with our lender and told him the exact price. Actually, backtrack. So we were looking for homes for a while. I wanted to live in a specific town. and it was just not looking good. I was about to give up hope. We were kind of just like, well, we got to compromise, live in a different town. I don't know if this is going to work out. And literally, you guys, after looking for so long, we were like, okay, we're just going to meet with our lender, see how that goes, set a price. So we told our lender, like, this is how much we can afford for a home, for a mortgage. Like, this is our top price. And literally the next day, you guys, only God. I feel like Franklin's making a lot of noise out there. Oh, you don't know who Franklin is yet, so listen, just keep on listening. Anywho, the next day, after we just discussed that price, like, this is what we can do. God put a house on the market at the exact price that we discussed the night before. And the house had been on the market for 2 to 3 hours only. So we saw this and we're like, oh my gosh, we have to go look at this. My dad goes over there. He's a realtor. He looks at it and he's like, you guys have to put an offer on this. Like, you just have to do it. So we did. And we got the house. And see, this made me, I've always been someone who dreams big and prays bold prayers. But when God answers those bold prayers and when God does things that only God can do, like, I love the situations where you sit back and you're like, the only explanation for this is God. So after that happened with the house, I told God, I'm like, if it's not clear that it's from you, like, I don't want it. Like, I want to be able to tell these stories, these amazing stories, and I want God to work in your guys' life like this, like He is. And I think sometimes we just don't notice it. Like, I could have just been like, that was just a coincidence that house popped up at the exact price that we talked about. Nah, but I knew it was God. I knew it. And we had been looking for so long and just kind of starting to lose hope. And I love when God does that. When we're starting to limit what we think He can do, and when we're starting to kind of get closed off in our shells and we become hopeless, He will reignite that flame and be like, girl, do you not remember what I can do? Do you not remember who I am? And He shows up every single time. So yes, we have this house. So incredibly grateful for it. Some days I'll wake up and I'll be like, is this real? Like, is this my home? So I can't even believe it. And then shortly after we got this house, we got a dog. My pride and joy, my son, Franklin. I'm a dog mom now. Very proud of it too. Franklin is like the perfect thing. Like, so I grew up with dogs, didn't have dogs. And so as soon as I moved out of my parents' home, my childhood dogs lived there. We had 2 Great Danes, Asher and Titus. They both are with the Lord now. And at the time when I moved out, we only had Titus. And I lasted I lasted 4 months in my own home without a dog before I was like, Wyatt, we have to get a dog. Like, I need one. I have to have this friend. I have to have this buddy with me. Like, I work from home. And we had ideas of what breeds we wanted. He really wanted a Frenchie. I have always wanted the Doberman. And so we kind of tried to shop around and look at those breeds. And we're like, budget, I don't know. Like, maybe we'll wait. But then Wyatt looked at a local shelter and saw Franklin on there, and it was listed that he was a Great Dane. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I grew up with Great Danes, love them to death. Like, I'd love to have another one. And so we're like, okay, we got to see if we can get him. You guys, I lost my mind for a week waiting to hear if we could even meet Franklin. Because the way it works is you apply and then they will do like an at-home test to make sure your home's fit for a dog, make sure your home and like your lifestyle and all the things that like everything's set up. And I'm like, okay, I love this. That's great. It's great that they do this. So I had the little home visit, got my application in, everything was approved, and I just like lost my mind. I'm like, I have to wait and see if we even get Franklin. Like, they basically kind of did best match / first come, first serve. So there was kind of a line in front of us of people who also wanted to see Franklin and meet Franklin and maybe adopt him. And I was like, I can't wait. I literally I became like that crazy, what do you call them? Like the Facebook warriors. I messaged people on Facebook. I emailed, Instagrammed, everything to try to see if I could just figure out how this all works and if I could try and see Franklin like now. So yeah, I'm losing my marbles, and finally I get a text from the foster mom who has Franklin, and she texts me and she goes, so Franklin's definitely not a Great Dane. He's like a pit bull or some kind of pit bull mix. Do you still want him? Like, would you still be interested? And I'm like, lady, at this point, I have fallen in love with Franklin. Of course I want him. I don't care if he's a Chihuahua. So she's a great lady, by the way. So she told us that, and I'm like, okay, yes, I still want him. And she's like, okay, we are waiting on one other person to see if they're a good fit. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind waiting to hear if we get to be Franklin's parents. And we were at like a work function for Wyatt, and I'm like, okay, I just have to keep my mind off this. She'll text me and it'll happen if he's the dog that's meant for us. And we are at his little work dinner, and I get this text, and she starts sending pictures of Franklin, and she's like, so when do you want to meet Franklin? And I'm like, oh my gosh, tomorrow. So literally the next day we have a little visit. She ends up being able to bring him to our house. Instantly like fell in love. He was this cute little tiny guy. He's gray. He has a cute little white patch on his stomach and his chest. If you guys follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you've seen it. You've seen him. He's adorable. But yeah, we instantly fell in love. He was so precious and tiny. Now he's like 40 pounds and he's 5 months, so he's growing like a weed. He's growing like crazy, and we love him. Oh my gosh. So yes, and behind the name, so Wyatt's always wanted to name a Frenchie Walter. Like, we love those human names that you name dogs. It's just always so funny. And then we know another dog named Frank, and we love him. So we're like, okay, Franklin. That's super cute. And then I've always wanted to name my first dog Bean. So Franklin Bean. That's who we got. Oh my goodness. So yes, he has been incredible. I can't even tell you guys, like, I used to be so lonely working from home and just like when I was here by myself, and Franklin has made everything better. And not to mention, a little perk, he eats his breakfast at like 5:30 a.m. So he's been like my little natural alarm clock, and it has been so nice to be able to wake up early because like he's got to go. We've had a little bumps in the road with him. He got sick at one point. He's better now. He's like so calm, easy to train. So like literally the perfect little guy. I love him so much. So yes, dog, house, engaged, like a whirlwind of like answered prayers all in one. And it's just literally insane. It's so crazy. What else? After Franklin, through this whole season and through the whole break, God had really been teaching me how to just kind of live life when you get into the fast pace of social media and just all of those things, like keeping up with people online, the trends, like everything fast with the online culture. You kind of forget to live your life. I was so busy doing so many different things. We had the Higher Battle membership, which is now free and somewhat on pause, just having God kind of talk to me through that process. But I was just busy with so many different things that I was forgetting to live and enjoy the moment. It was this recent Easter that God just made me stop for a second, and this was when I felt joy again. I went through a little rough patch where I just felt super unmotivated, in a way of like I felt like I wasn't living in my purpose. I felt like the only reason I was really kind of like still striving forward was for Wyatt and for Franklin. So we went through a little rough patch, and a patch where I just didn't care about speaking to God or spending time with Him. I went through a little patch where I didn't read the Bible, just really did not care about any of that. And I came to realize there's been times in my life where I only cared about my relationship with God so that I could pour out to you guys and help your relationship with God. Like, I cared about you guys having the best relationship with God, that I jeopardized my own, or I almost had like a superficial relationship with him just so that I could like read the Bible, give you guys a verse. So I went through a lot of that during the break, of realizing, wow, I gotta figure this out. I need to put God first and I need to spend time with him. And I really want to say this because it's okay if you go through those seasons and those dry patches and just those feelings. And I think I knew the whole time that even if I pulled away, even if I was distant, God never did. So when I was just feeling down, put my Bible on the shelf, when I didn't open my Bible, God was still very much a part of my life, and he heard everything I would say to him, whether it was directly to him or just out in the open or journaling or whatever. Like, God's still there no matter what. And so kind of just walking through that and a lot of reflection of like, why do I feel like this? Like, why do I feel numb to life and my faith? During the break, I also kind of struggled with social anxiety again, just with working from home. I was really good about isolating myself, and I worked through anxiety. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I was very shy, had like crippling anxiety in high school to the point where it would like make me sick. And that was something that the Lord redeemed me of. And with working from home, I felt a lot of those new triggers and a lot of me like pulling back into my old self. And it got to the point where I started like hating people. And I had to mentally prepare. We'll have a whole other episode on this, but I had to like mentally prepare for social interactions, or else I would fall apart. And I like was angry that I had to see people. I thought like, they don't like me, they don't want to speak to me, like why would I even try to interact with these people? Like just all these negative spiraling thoughts and anxiety. And so yes, we've been working on that. And like I said, I'd love to do another episode on that because I know a lot of you guys face that. And yeah, the anxiety, being numb to faith, just not feeling happy. And I was like, oh my gosh. And a lot of times when I feel very down and low and unhappy, I will feel guilty because I'm like, I am so blessed. I'm healthy. I have this home. I have Wyatt. I have Franklin. I have my family. Like everything. God has blessed me in so many different ways, but why am I unhappy? And so it really was like the absence of having God pour into me, but just inviting God into those dark places and inviting God into those numb seasons. And so this past Easter, I was sitting on the back patio, and Wyatt's mom was here, and Franklin was playing, Wyatt was playing with Franklin, and I felt God say, he's like, these moments right here, I feel like I'm gonna cry. I'm literally gonna cry. Like when God like speaks to your heart, it's like the most beautiful experience, whether it's what you want to hear or not. And he spoke to my heart and he said, these days you're living, you're never going to get back. So don't waste them feeling sad and upset and sorry for yourself. Just spend these living. Spend these thanking me for these beautiful days. And with Wyatt playing in the yard and Wyatt's mom there and Franklin, God said, you can't relive this day. And it's the most beautiful day right now. It's the most beautiful moment. So you need to live in that and you need to enjoy it. And don't let the enemy steal that joy and that beauty of what I've given you. Wow, I didn't think I was going to cry. Literally the first episode back, I'm bawling. Oh my gosh. Whew. The Spirit moves you. I tell you what, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I was not this big of a softie before God like softened my heart. If you pray that prayer and you're like, Jesus, I want to feel what you feel and I want my heart to break for what your heart breaks for, you'll cry at everything, literally everything. But yes, just a lot of living in the moment during this break and not feeling guilty for choosing to live, not feeling guilty for putting me first, my family first, God first, because I'm a people pleaser. I'm sure a lot of you guys are too. And with people pleasing and being like trapped in that, you'll make a lot of decisions and you'll live your life in a lot of ways to make other people happy. And your happiness is dependent on all that. But see, if you pray the prayers and you ask God, like, I just felt kind of lost. And I was like, I don't want to feel like this, God. I don't want to feel numb. And I want to spend time with you. Like when you pray those prayers, God is going to lead you out of that. And he's going to show you like the reason you're upset right now and sad is because you haven't been living your life. You know you're blessed and you're thankful for so much, but you're not living it. You're not experiencing it. You're not experiencing everything that I've given you. You're living for everybody else. So that is like everything that I went through and experienced and grew through during the break. And I truly feel I'm at a beautiful spot now, which is why I have felt so led to start the podcast again. And you guys have been amazing at messaging me during the break and just the sweetest things ever. And I just felt like being able to walk through that deep valley where I was like, I'm not this kind of person. Like I'm naturally such a joyful person. So I knew the enemy was really trying to take roots in my life because I hadn't spent time with God or read the Bible in so long. And now I feel like we're on the uphill. We're going up again. So I think it's just the most beautiful time to start this podcast again. And I just want to thank you guys for those of you who are still here. So many of you still listen to the podcast even when there is no new episodes. So I'm so thankful for you and I'm so excited to just have you again for this new season. And I love you guys so, so dearly. If there's anything you would love to hear on this podcast, anything that's bugging you, any topics that would really help you in your faith, in your life, and just everything and above, please message me. I try to read all my DMs and I would love to record that episode, but I love you guys so, so much. I hope you have the best week and I will see you again next week. Bye.